I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Tim Lyons.
And it's time for a brand new movie review. We just saw Avengers.
Yes, we certainly did.
We got to go to an early screening of the Avengers, so we're doing a non-spoiler review before the movie actually comes out here in America. Now, the film came out in Europe, everywhere in Europe last week, and I have been doing my level best to not find out anything about this film as best as I can. So many people I know from Britain and other places in Europe have been posting reviews, and I've been doing my very best not to watch them. And so anyway, we got really lucky and we got to see an early screening. So we thought we'd go ahead and do a non-spoiler review. Vince and I, as soon as Vince gets a chance to see the movie, are going to do a full-blown spoiler podcast, hopefully sometime in the next few days. So we thought we'd go ahead and give this to you right now, because a few people asked me to when I mentioned that we were doing this. So let's roll. Now, you have not seen all the movies leading up to this.
No, I certainly haven't. I saw Iron Man and Iron Man 2. I did not see Captain America. I did not see either Hulk movie, although only one's in this continuity.
Yeah, right.
I did not see Thor. And I don't know if I'm missing any of the other ones.
No, that would be all of them.
Yeah, okay.
So well done. Well, he can name them, so that's good. I would say that it's really good that you saw the Iron Man films.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's really good that you saw those. And I would say to most folks that those are the ones that you really ought to have at least seen those, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can potentially get by without any of them, but it's tough for me to say that because, of course, I've seen them all. So what do you think on that? Like where were you lost? Again, without giving any plot points away,
honestly,
where were you lost?
I wasn't lost really at all. I mean, you know, I didn't know exactly which elements came from which movies, aside from the very, very obvious ones, at least at first. Yeah, they made it clear pretty early into the first act where everything came from. In fact, they did a pretty good job of having the, having the actual characters that were assembling as the Avengers. They at least had somebody that didn't know about each element and they had to explain it, so they gave that exposition away. I thought that was pretty good.
And it was exposition that works in such a way where it's not, in your face or irritating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Speaking, of course, as someone that saw all the other movies, I thought that it was a perfect sequel to all of them. I thought that all of the characters that had their own movies got plenty of screen time.
Yeah.
I feel like the only characters that perhaps I would have liked to have seen on screen more often or had more of a character arc were those that didn't have their own films already. And we might find that to be less of a problem later on if and when they get their own films. So that's something to think about. There's talk about Black Widow maybe eventually getting her own movie.
Yeah.
I kind of doubt Hawkeye would ever get his, but...
but I don't know if Black Widow is a character that can carry her own film. He's not in any kind of superhero film.
Yeah,
I mean, it would have to be
like a spy thriller.
Yeah, it'd have to be a spy thriller.
Dare I say it would almost work better as a prequel, although I don't know if I would want that.
I mean, I think she only really works as part of a team, but then again, she's also the one that aside from the fact that she's a great spy, you're kind of wondering, the hell is she doing here? Yeah, seriously. I was wondering that the entire time. I wondered
even
that...
Even having seen Iron Man 2. And
even having seen her set up in Iron Man 2. But we were discussing this. I thought that she was she could have not been in Iron Man 2 and it wouldn't have hurt the film. Yeah, she was the weakest link there. But I think she's a good character. I think that they actually they gave her a compelling reason to be in this one. Just because of the whole setup with Hawkeye. You know, that whole arc, the way that went. But ultimately, she's certainly the most useless one.
She certainly felt more necessary here than she did in Iron Man 2.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I would say that she felt more necessary than Hawkeye. But that's only because I felt like she got more of a character arc than Hawkeye got.
Well, you know, Hawkeye was basically...
I would say I cared more about her than I did about her.
Yeah, Hawkeye was just there to drive her arc. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all he was there for. Aside from that, he was pretty awesome in the fights. That's about it.
I think that Iron Man was at his very best in this film.
Yeah, and
I thought Robert Downey was even as much, if not more, fun than he was in both of his own films. There are some places where perhaps the comedic banter that he has with certain characters goes on a little long, but that's kind of the point of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and a lot of the laugh out loud moments are his.
Yeah, and I really like his interaction with Banner. a lot.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you for mentioning that, because I forgot about that. It didn't occur to me that those two would make a connection, and they totally do.
Absolutely, yeah. And
he seems to be, in some ways, again, without giving too much away, he seems in some ways to be the only character that he even really likes that much.
And he's also, he seems to be the character that is able to actually, bring Banner out a bit more and actually be part of the team in a bigger way.
I was very impressed at what Banner did in this, and how much he was used. I was really surprised that Hulk was as much a part of the plot as he was, and I enjoyed every moment that the monster itself was on screen.
Oh yeah,
that was the most fun.
Yeah, certain moments were very fun.
He owns that third act.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really love that. What did you think of the interaction between Captain America and Iron Man? Was it forced? Did it work?
I think that. It's just a classic thing where both were trying to be the top dog kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what. But you knew that they were.
And we're not giving away anything by saying that, because that's how they're generally.
Yeah, that's their exact characterization. I mean, nothing's out of character here. In fact, that's one of the biggest things that I said in our discussion directly after the film, was that nothing was really that unexpected in this movie.
And was that a problem?
No, of course not. It's a fun film. It was set up over the course of so many films that they. Look at it from the studio's perspective. They don't want this to fail. This is their big payoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is like the first of probably many of these types of movies, because it's the first time it's been tried, and it works out beautifully. It's going to make money hand over fist. It is absolutely a summer blockbuster.
And that's the thing that I was really worried about initially, was with Joss Whedon directing and co-writing this, that it wouldn't be big blockbuster enough. I was afraid that it was going to be, dare I say, a little bit too much of a tea-drinking film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it was going to be a really heavy.
Biggies out, folks. Biggies out.
That it was going to be really focused on deep characterizations, which of course I like.
Yeah, sure.
But there wouldn't be enough to bring in that big blockbuster crowd. That it wouldn't be big and fun and out there, and it totally was that. And yet I didn't feel like that it. It's not a deep film, but I don't think it had to be a deep film.
Yeah, but it certainly wasn't lacking, interpersonal conflict either. I mean, that was a major part of the movie.
And the most important thing in a story like this, with an ensemble cast like this, is that you'll like everybody.
Yeah.
And that you care about what happens to them, and I did. It's a lot like doing a space opera. You know, it's like Star Trek, it's like Stargate, it's like anything where you have multiple protagonists in the same place. And the difficulty with that is giving them all their due and giving them all a story arc, because usually it focuses too much on one or two of them. I didn't feel like that. They really had that problem.
No, it really didn't. I mean, there were some that didn't seem to be utilized as much, but again, like.
The beauty of that, though, is that
Black Widow I didn't care about as much, but
it's partially a setup film too.
Yeah.
And again, I know that sounds maybe bad, because there have been a bunch of setup films to set up this film.
Yeah.
But it's an origin film in the sense that it's setting up the Avengers, and so some of these characters you could guess will probably get more to do later on, because it's the beginning of a franchise.
Sure. And maybe we'll really see their worth. Again, talking to you, Black Widow. But, I'm sorry, I really think she's the weakest link, but she's an awesome spy, and she can obviously kick some.
I thought her introduction was amazing.
Her introduction was the best part of her entire presence in the film, because it actually lets her go in and again conquer and kick some.
Did it feel too much to you like we've got to have a female character? This is who we have right now. There's no other big major costume superhero female that we can put in this, because they've decided not to be Wasp yet. So I mean, did it feel too stuck in there because of that? Where it was like, we're like, they're trying hard not to do that because she's set up in Iron Man 2, but it still kind of has that feel, because I got that a little bit from it. Where it was like, well, we got to have a woman in this.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have. I don't know who they would have picked, but they could have picked somebody better. I mean, because okay, you got her being the weakest link. On the one hand, you have a demigod. Right.
Yeah.
And then
and you got a super soldier, and you got
a super soldier, a guy with a mechanical suit,
soldier with a
yeah, exactly. And then all the way down to, hey, look, she's a spy. That doesn't seem nearly as impressive. That's why I liked her introduction scene, because it actually showed her being impressive and taking on multiple assailants at that point, and actually coming out on top and doing it with relative ease.
We've only got a couple minutes left. What did you think of the overall villain plot? What'd you think of Loki?
I think, based on what I know of the movies, I think that's about the best that they could have come up with in the already established, movie universe that they had set forth in that particular continuity. And that's really the only thing that would be a threat to all of these characters.
That doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that doesn't just come out of nowhere. And then, you seem quite happy with what they set up later.
Yeah,
we won't give that away.
We can't give that away, but yeah.
But I definitely see where they're going with that.
I'm thrilled with the setup.
Yeah, and don't only stay after the main credits, but stay after all of the credits.
Yeah.
There's 2 stingers on this one. You got to watch both.
I'm glad you said that.
The last one was amazing as well.
Yeah, it was great. No, it was just great.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So
I just by the end, because Josh even made a big deal out of these are 7 people. I think it said these are 7 people that make no sense together, and that's what we want this movie to be about. And,
yeah,
and I think that worked. By the end, I love seeing them all in a room together.
Sure.
And that's what's great.
And it was a good. It wasn't an origin story for any individual, but it was a great origin story for the group.
How glad were you that they didn't make it an origin story for one person? Because that's another thing that you might have expected to happen.
I'm so glad that they didn't do that, and I'm so glad that they actually got all those out of the way first.
They did that with like an animated movie with Ultimate Avengers, where they did Ultimate Avengers, which was a setup film, which is basically this, but not nearly as good. And then they did a second one that was pretty much Black Panther and his origin. And then everybody else is there. I'm so glad this was not that for say Hawkeye or something.
Yeah,
yeah. I want to mention real quick that we had to see this in 3D, and I just want to throw this out there real quick. As a lot of you know, of course, I have personal problems with 3D. I can't actually see it. And so, I have to go to when I have to go to these 3D movies. It's not like the screen is blurry or anything, but when I put the glasses on, all it does is make the screen not blurry. I don't actually see the 3D. Now Tim tells me the 3D is amazing. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, the 3D was actually really good. It was the best live-action 3D I've seen.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
But then again, some of the fight scenes toward the end, it was still a little bit disorienting with some of the quicker cuts, which is my big gripe with 3D is that. If you're going to have 3D, it brings that sense of depth in. You shouldn't cut as much.
Well, my big gripe with it, besides the fact that if I go to one that I didn't get a free ticket to, like this, I have to pay extra to see something where I just have to wear something uncomfortable on my face so I can actually tell what's happening, is that you can't, you don't get the same lighting. It's too dark. And that irritated me. Like every now and again, I would take the glasses off just to see how bright the screen actually was, and I felt shafted. I
don't know if it's just the theater being a cheapskate and not actually pumping up the light from the projector. It could be that because they probably have specifications on how bright they're supposed to run it and everything.
Yeah, but I have heard this complaint from so many critics.
Well, yeah, but there's probably a lot of cheapskate theater owners out there, or the theater owners might not know, or they might not have a unified standard.
Yeah, maybe.
So because there's still different types of 3D. There's Real D and what would we see in IMAX 3D?
IMAX 3D. Yeah. I guess what I'm not liking is that it's becoming harder and harder for me to get to go to movies at times I can go to and it not be in 3D. I don't think that's fair. And it's not just me because I can't see it. It's just I know a lot of people who don't really care for 3D and who would prefer regular lighting on a movie screen.
By the way, this is something that got me. Okay, so going to an advanced screening, they search you and make sure you don't have a cell phone, you don't have a camera.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that you don't put any footage of it up.
Yeah. Why? It's a 3D movie. Okay? It's blurry. It's unwatchable without the glasses and without being in the room. That's half the point. Why can't people have their cell phones or even bring in a full-blown video camera? It's not going to do them any good. It's going to be an unwatchable movie if they download it on the internet later.
It's unwatchable. The problem is they could still hear the audio and that would give things away.
Sure, that would give things away, but they wouldn't get the full experience, and that's mainly what they're worried about is replacing that experience. It's kind of like, I don't see why they were that concerned with the work print of X-Men Origins Wolverine leaking on the internet.
Yeah, it didn't have any effects in it.
I saw it with the incomplete special effects. Granted that made me realize it was a bad enough movie that I didn't want to see it with the completed effects.
I was going to ask you, if maybe it was a better film without the effects in it. I wondered about that.
No.
Oh, okay.
Although
right.
I still really like Ryan Reynolds in that. But that's a whole different thing.
So ultimately, naturally, of course, I'm recommending the film. I can't tell you the last time I had this fun in the theater. And again, it's not super deep. It's not going to be Dark Knight Rises, but I don't want every superhero film to be that. Sometimes you need just a really fun escapist movie, and that's what this is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know.
And that's what we expected it to be, and that's what we wanted, and that's what we got. So,
yeah, exactly.
Me personally, that's what
don't go in thinking you're going to watch Citizen Kane, the 2012 edition. No, just go in thinking you're going to see something that's relatively fun, but slightly smarter than any Michael Bay flick could possibly be.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the same level of kind of fun and romp.
It is less character-driven than other Joss Whedon properties that I've seen,
but
it had to be.
Yeah, I would venture to say that this was at least on par or a bit more fun than the Iron Man films, and I thought they were really fun movies.
Yeah. I think it's definitely better than Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
So. Well, anyway, thanks a lot for watching our early review. Like I said, Vince and I will be back with you with a spoiler podcast, hopefully sometime in the next week. And we appreciate you watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Tim Lyons.
See you later.